The morning air was crisp, almost biting, as the first light of Christmas Day broke over the rolling hills of the ranch. Frost sparkled like tiny diamonds on the barn roof, and the smell of pine from the surrounding forest clung to the wind. John Carter, a lifelong rancher, had woken before sunrise, as he always did, to check on his cattle. The silence of the morning was comforting, broken only by the occasional lowing of cows, and the crunch of his boots in the frost. He felt the usual mix of peace and responsibility that came with the life he had chosen, a life of routine, work, and solitude. His family had long moved to the city, leaving him alone with the ranch he loved, yet sometimes, the weight of loneliness pressed heavily on his chest. As he approached the barn, he noticed something unusual, a faint sound, a soft whimper, cut through the stillness of the morning. His brow furrowed, and he paused, listening intently. The noise came from inside the barn, near the hayloft. John's heart quickened as he cautiously opened the barn door, calling out, "Hello, who's there?" The sound came again, more distinct this time, a tiny, desperate cry that tugged at his very soul. Stepping inside, he scanned the barn, his eyes adjusting to the dim light. And then he saw her. A tiny bundle, carefully wrapped in a faded blanket, lay on a bed of hay. John's hands trembled as he picked up the bundle, revealing the delicate face of a newborn girl. She had wisps of dark hair, eyes tightly shut, and a cry that was at once feeble and demanding. Tucked inside the blanket was a small, crumpled note, written in shaky handwriting. "Please love her." John sank to his knees, the note trembling in his hand. Questions flooded his mind. Who had left her? Why here in his barn? And why on Christmas morning? A day already filled with the weight of memories, both joyful and painful. He cradled her carefully, feeling the warmth of life against his chest, and a sense of purpose began to awaken within him. This child needed him, needed love, safety, and a family. The hours that followed were a blur. John fed her, wrapped her in clean blankets, and made a soft bed for her in the old rocking chair near the fireplace. Every sound she made, every tiny movement, filled him with an emotion he had never known he was capable of, an overwhelming, unconditional love. Memories of his childhood, of the family Christmases he had spent alone on this very ranch, mingled with a new, urgent hope for the future. By the time the sun had fully risen, painting the snowy landscape in shades of gold and pink, John had made a silent vow. Whoever had left this baby had entrusted her to him, and he would not fail her. He would protect her, care for her, and love her as if she were his own daughter. Because in that moment, she had become the center of his world. The thought of opening his heart to someone so tiny and vulnerable brought both fear and exhilaration. The day passed smallly, filled with small, tender moments. John hummed old lullabies his mother had sung to him, feeding the baby by the fire and wrapping her in soft blankets. The barn, once cold and empty, now radiated warmth and life. Every sound outside, the crunching snow, the rustle of trees, the distant call of a crow, seemed part of a larger symphony, as if the world itself had paused to witness this miracle. By evening, word had spread through the nearby town. Neighbors and friends, curious and concerned, began to arrive at the ranch, offering help, supplies, and words of comfort. Some asked questions, some stayed silent, simply observing the quiet miracle that had appeared in John's barn. And though he appreciated their concern, John knew in his heart that the responsibility and the joy was his alone. As night fell and the stars sparkled in the clear winter sky, John held the baby close, feeling her tiny heartbeat against his chest. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to imagine a future filled not with solitude, but with love, laughter, and the gentle chaos of raising a child. This Christmas morning had brought him the greatest gift he had ever received, a chance to give love, to nurture, and to be a father. And in that quiet, snow-covered barn, surrounded by the whispers of a miraculous morning, John Carter felt a profound, unshakable sense of purpose. He glanced at the note again. "Please love her." A simple plea, yet its weight was immense. And as he whispered a promise into the night, he knew that love, true, steadfast, and unwavering, would guide them both through the days and years to come. The story of that Christmas morning was only just beginning. And little did John know, the arrival of this tiny stranger would unravel secrets, heal old wounds, and bind the hearts of an entire community together in ways he could never have imagined. And if you want to follow the incredible journey of John and the little girl who changed his life forever, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because you won't want to miss a single moment of this heartwarming story. The days after Christmas morning blurred into a rhythm of gentle chaos, filled with the tender demands of caring for the tiny life that had entered John Carter's world. The baby who had begun calling Lily in his own quiet, private moments, quickly became the heartbeat of the ranch. Every cry tugged at him, every coo made him smile, and each tiny grasp of his finger filled him with awe. The barn that had once echoed only with the lowing of cattle now resonated with warmth, love, and the faint scent of baby powder mingled with hay. John found himself doing things he hadn't done in years. He hummed lullabies that had been long forgotten, learned the art of swaddling with precision, and discovered the gentle art of coaxing sleep from tiny eyes that refused to stay closed. He spoke to her even when she couldn't respond, telling her stories of the ranch, of the hills, of the stars that shimmered above their little home. And in those moments, John realized that he was no longer alone. His heart had expanded beyond measure, filled with a love he didn't know he possessed. But with this joy came a cascade of questions that gnawed at him. Who had left her there? Why had they chosen him, a solitary rancher, to care for this innocent child, and what dangers might her unknown past bring? John spent nights pacing the barn, the fire crackling, Lily nestled safely in his arms, and he wrestled with these uncertainties. Despite the fear, he never allowed it to overshadow the love that had blossomed between them. Every morning, as he watched her stretch tiny arms and yawn, he was reminded that hope and purpose were far more powerful than fear. The local community, touched by the story of the abandoned child, rallied around John and Lily. Neighbors dropped by with blankets, clothes, and supplies, each offering support in small, meaningful ways. Children from nearby farms would sneak glances through the fence, whispering about the mysterious Christmas miracle in John's barn. Even the local pastor came to visit, offering prayers and words of encouragement, reminding John that love often appeared in the most unexpected ways. And yet, amidst the kindness of others, John knew that the deepest bond, the one that would shape their future, was his own unwavering commitment to Lily. As winter deepened, John's routine shifted. Mornings began with feeding the cattle, then carrying Lily to the barn, where she would nap on the warmth of a blanket, listening to the faint sound of animals around her. Evenings were quiet and intimate, the two of them huddled by the fireplace, sharing a world that existed solely for them. John began documenting her growth in a small leather journal, noting each smile, each first sound, and each fleeting expression of wonder. In the solitude of the barn, he found a new kind of happiness, a sense that life had finally given him a reason to wake each morning with hope in his heart. But the miracle of Christmas was not without its challenges. One evening, a fierce winter storm swept across the ranch. Snow piled high against the barn doors, winds howled through the gaps in the old wood, and the temperature plummeted. John's instincts kicked in, his hands working tirelessly to keep Lily warm and safe. He wrapped her in every blanket he could find, stayed awake through the night, humming softly to soothe her cries. The storm raged outside, but inside the barn a small bubble of love and protection held fast. When morning finally broke, the sky a pale pink and gold, John realized that this night had solidified something profound. Love was not just a feeling. It was action, commitment, and unwavering devotion. As days turned into weeks, John's story, and Lily's, began to touch the hearts of people far beyond the ranch. Letters arrived from strangers who'd heard of the abandoned child and her miraculous discovery. Some offered help, others simply shared prayers and blessings. Yet through it all, John remained humble, focused solely on the child who had transformed his life. He watched Lily take her first steps, utter her first words, and learn the rhythms of the world around her. Each milestone was a celebration, a reminder that life, even when fraught with uncertainty, could be profoundly beautiful. Then one evening, just as the first signs of spring touched the snow-dusted hills, a figure arrived at the ranch. A woman, the tearful and anxious, explained that circumstances had forced her to leave her child in hopes of giving her a better life. She had tracked the story through the town and hoped to reconnect, to understand the care and love that had nurtured her daughter in her absence. John listened, his heart heavy yet understanding. In that moment, he realized that love was not measured by biology, but by the care, devotion, and protection one gave without hesitation. With careful conversations, boundaries, and understanding, the woman accepted that John had given Lily more than she could have hoped for: love, stability, and a family. Over time, they formed a bond of respect and gratitude, united by the miracle of that Christmas morning. John knew that the greatest gift of all was the trust placed in him, and he honored it daily with unwavering dedication. The barn, once a place of solitude and routine, had become a sanctuary of love. And on the anniversary of that first miraculous morning, John held Lily in his arms, looking out over the snow-kissed fields, and whispered promises of a future filled with hope, joy in the certainty that she would never know a day without love. Every challenge, every lonely year before her arrival, had led him to this moment, a testament to the magic of love, timing, and faith. And so, the story of the rancher and the baby left on Christmas morning became legend, shared in whispers and letters, inspiring countless hearts. It was a reminder that miracles can arrive quietly, wrapped in blankets and notes, in the most unexpected places. And for anyone watching, anyone dreaming of hope, love, or a sign that life can surprise you when you least expect it, remember, extraordinary moments often begin with simple acts of kindness and the courage to love fully. If you felt your heart touched by this story, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and join us as we share more heartwarming tales that remind us why hope and humanity are the greatest gifts of all. Because stories like John and Lily's prove that miracles aren't just in fairy tales. They can happen in barns on snowy mornings, and in the hearts of those willing to love without limits.